for some peace of mind, but TikTok said a gator drove a Jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat, and someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Karen's got a taser in the checkout line, and Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. I'm just sitting here scrolling my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah, when it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Yeah, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave. I'm just...
Good morning and good Monday, everyone. Hopefully this is a start to a brand new week and a new fun and absurd life without Karen Reed. I don't know how we'll all survive. I hope we all will. I, for one, am kind of glad that the trial of the bajillion years is done, but I know I'm not the only one. We have so many stories and different things, but let's get our hellos and welcome back, Wolfram. I hope your training went well and everyone learned it. And you didn't have anyone like me who was very confused and kept, holding you back up on the process. Good morning, Alice G. and Tammy Bogard. And let's see, Audio Coffee, Squid Pro Quo. Let's see, Denise Sells, Jason JJJ, welcome everyone. And if you feel any need to weigh in on what color will Hare's Mow be tomorrow, because I am going out to purchase dye, I am needing to get rid of these very long blonde roots, which is more of a personal problem than, anyone else. So if you feel the need to, weigh in on that, you can. Our first story today looks like we are getting some more news, and it does seem like, tragically, Food Network star Anne Burrell may have been struggling with addiction, causing the end of her life. And this is kind of a personal kind of thing for me, but if you're struggling with addiction, please get help. Please get help. And if you are, in a relationship, family member has an addiction, consider getting help yourself. That is a lot of stress that I don't think we give kind of enough attention on. When you love someone who is struggling with addiction, it can be an exceptional, amount of stress. So I hope, sadly, that her passing might spread another light and really get people talking about just how hard it is. The death of Food Network star Anne Burrell is being investigated as a possible overdose by the New York City Police Department, according to internal documents that were seen by the New York Times. Now, Burrell was host of Worst Cooks in America and also appeared on Chef Wanted, Chopped, and Food Network star. She was found passed away in her Brooklyn home on Tuesday morning. The document said that Burrell, 55, was discovered in a shower unconscious and unresponsive by approximately 100 assorted pills. So, again, it's a terribly hard thing to get out of, and the person has to want to come out of addiction. Nothing happens if they don't want to, but it's an incredible, sad reality. So I hope that this does, start people talking, and we can get more concrete, facilities and things that won't break the bank when people make the choice that they want to stop, their addiction. Now, first responding medical personnel arrived at the property in response to a 911 call about her being unresponsive. The Times was told by a spokesperson for the city medical examiner's office that the autopsy was completed, but toxicology is going to take several more weeks to months. So the manner and cause is still pending. Now, without naming Burrell, but confirming details of the incident, including the time, location, age, and sex of the deceased, a spokesperson for the NYPD told The Independent that the chief medical examiner will determine the cause of death. Now, earlier reporting did cite possible cardiac arrest, but with that, added information of the pill bottles being down here. Now, obviously, this is speculation until actual toxicology reports come back. But, as a little, the mo you know, if you are struggling yourself with addiction or you have a family member, consider, opening up about it, having someone that you can talk to and that supports you and gets it, because it is a terribly, terribly lonely thing to try to walk around. It's not an easy thing to bring up. And if you have a friend who's dealing with one or any of these issues, sometimes just sitting there and listening is really helpful. And if I've learned anything through my grand walk through life, sometimes being there and sitting with someone while they're sitting through hell, regardless of what the situation is worth more than diamonds and gold. That being said, sometimes also telling someone to get a swift kick up their ass and not do stupid crap anymore also helps. That being said, those are the two sides of my spirit animal. So you either get kindness and awkward petting or a, come to Jesus meeting. You don't get like more of the two. That being said, it is the big elephant. I know that I am not typically political here, and I don't understand the ins and outs of all of the, all of the things that are going on, but it is the elephant in the room, and it does look like there have been satellite images released of Fordrow after the U.S. bunker buster bomb strike, and it does show extensive damage. The first satellite images from Iran's Fordrow nuclear enrichment site shows that part of the mountain protecting the facility has been completely obliterated. Yeah, I guess gone would be what you could say about that. It's gone. Now, the U.S. bunker buster bomb struck on Saturday, and experts appear as at least part of the underground structures have collapsed. Now, possible bomb entry points and rubble was visible following President Trump's surprise B-12 stealth bomber attack overnight, and the images were taken by Maxar Technologies. Now, the once brown mountainside has turned gray in part, and the entire topography of the area seems to have been changed by the detonation of 14 30,000-pound massive ordnance penetrator bombs, or MOPS. So again, I don't have the intelligence, the, international political acumen to tell you what all this means, other than it has happened, Oh, good. There we go. Rural internet back again. We should be back. Rural internet, always great. So the topography has changed. Look, there are other, giant, better political, smart people that's going to. It did happen. So there you are. I mean, I can't tell you what's going to happen because this happened or give you any, general comforting things about it. I'm not really sure what I feel about it. But as long as we know it happened, and that's all I do here on Mornings with Mo, I bring you interesting stories or current stories. So it did happen. You would think, yeah, probably because I called them all a-holes. To be fair, I think everyone feels that way. So, I mean, I thought I was kind of one of the majorities. But in a happier news, and well, more important to the bear that it happened to than anything that us humans can do, a Michigan bear has been rescued after roaming around the woods for 2 years with a lid stuck around its neck. They were finally able to capture and get this bear some relief from having this. As you can see, it's even grown into his skin and fur. So the fact that we could help this bear. Again, my personal philosophy on life, you can take it with a ramen packet noodle of salt. I cannot change Iran. I can't change, places outside of my room. But I can bring you guys stories of little people who are making small changes in their worlds to make things better. We might not do it on a global scale, but can inspire people to make bigger. The internet is being my very best friend today. Michigan wildlife experts were finally able to trap a black bear and remove a large lid that had been stuck around his neck for 2 years. It's pretty incredible that the bear was able to survive and feed itself, the state bear specialist Cody Norton said Wednesday. The neck was scarred and missing hair, but the bear is in much better condition than we expected it to be. Now, the bear first turned up on trail camera as a cub in 2023 in the northern Lower Peninsula. Now, after that, the Department of Natural Resources was on the lookout for the elusive animal with a hard plastic lid around its neck. The bear again appeared on camera late May, still wearing the barrel lid. The DNR responded by sending a cylindrical trap and safely luring him inside. He was immobilized with an injection and the lid was cut off in minutes on June 3rd. Now, he eventually woke up and rambled away. Angela Kawaji, a wildlife biologist who was on scene, said she wondered about the bear's ability to climb trees with the uncomfortable accessory. He was probably more laid back on his side or, laying kind of uncomfortably when he was resting because of the lid. Now, Norton said it's not precisely known how the lid got stuck on the bear's neck. Bear baiting is legal in Michigan, but the hole in the barrel lid must typically be large enough to avoid what happened on this bear. What the hell? Bear baiting? Are we hunting bears in Michigan? I mean, I guess I guess if bears are becoming a nuisance species, but still, bear baiting? Michigan, y'all are a lot more hardcore than I thought you were. Now, the bear weighed 110 pounds or 49 kilograms, which is fairly typical for a 2-year-old. We were pleasantly surprised, and I was still able to, he was still able to make a living and be a pretty typical bear with the lid on. So I'm glad that they found him and fixed it. I had no idea that bear baiting was even a thing, but there you go. See, I learn something new every morning. Well, now, just in time for this morning, this Monday, to bring back Final Form Jesus. Guess who's back in the news? Or it's been a little bit, but is he back? And where is he now?
The G-caked its grove, thou gloaming shrine of thirst traps, scams, and dollar signs. We chant in tones both grim and low, for virtue fled a long time ago. Kyrie eleison, Christe descendat, final form Jesus return in wrath. With six-pack glistening, sword in hand, he cometh swift to cleanse the land.
YouTube for making me scroll, uncontrollably. Now I'm muted? Oh, for the love of... No, good Lord. Today is Monday, and welcome to the utter Mondayness of this. This is, in fact, your official warning that this is going to be a double Monday. Give up. I should just go back to bed and turn around and try this again. But it has been 16 years since Balloon Boy, you know, captured our attention. Now, the family behind one of America's most infamous and bizarre news stories is speaking out on an upcoming Netflix documentary. Premiering on Tuesday 15th, Trainwreck Balloon Boy revisits the notorious day in October 2009 when a homemade flying saucer went flying through the Colorado sky, supposedly with a 6-year-old on board. But as the public learned later, the child was not actually inside the saucer after all, leading to frustration and outrage from both the local community and American public. Oh gosh, the thirst was real even before TikTok. Now, some have accused the family of attempting to garner attention for a possible reality TV show, but for years, members of the family have denied that it was ever a hoax. Directed by Jillian Patcher, Trainwreck Balloon Boy features news interviews with members of the Heaney family, including Dad Richard, who'd built the infamous flying saucer, and his son Falcon, who was originally believed to have been inside the flying object at the time. Now, in a trailer for the film, exclusively shared with People, Richard describes the incident as the biggest nightmare ever, while his son recalls being at the center of a nationwide controversy. I can't be muted. I should not be muted unless you're behind. I'll keep talking and hopefully I'm not muted because that would just be my, luck. Now, I think it was crazy how I was 6 years old and I was able to affect the whole state of the country, Falcon recalls, who will be 22 years old on the 16th anniversary of the shocking event. I there you go. Now, the drama began on October 15th, 2009, when Richard, who lived in Fort Collins, Colorado, called 911 claiming that his homemade flying saucer had escaped his backyard with his 6-year-old son Falcon inside. All I wanted to do was make a really fantastic project for the kids, Richard explained in the trailer. Now, authorities from several agencies soon got involved, including the local sheriff's office, the National Guard, and even Homeland Security, while news organizations from across the U.S. were glued to the bizarre story. But many were stunned to learn that there was no boy on board whatsoever, leading to questions about the family's intentions and claims. And some even wondered if this had been done to intentionally, get the Heaney family, who were featured the year prior on an episode of Wife Swap, into famousness. Also, they named his son Falcon. I mean, they could have gone Falcor, which I would have respected more, but there you go. The entire public was basically like, you've got to be shitting me. The spotlight remained on the Heaneys for weeks after the incident. In December 2009, just 2 months after the incident, both the parents were sentenced to jail time for their roles in the incident, according to NBC News and ABC News. Now, they were later pardoned by Colorado Governor Jared Polis in 2020. Now, Balloon Boy's story is being told by the entire Heaney family for the first time in an upcoming Netflix documentary, The Search for More Money. No, I'm just kidding. It's called Trainwreck. You don't get it, Mom wails in the trailer. Some people interviewed for a film and came to the family's defense, while others continue to raise questions about the validity of anything the family claims. Again, if you would like to go back to this, I might watch this and give you my own review of this, because who doesn't remember Balloon Boy? I remember my mom was so pissed off, like, they lied about that boy being in the UFO. And I was like, well, doesn't like the Daily Planet lie to us about Clark Kent being Superman? I didn't realize that the New Adventures of Lois and Clark were not, in fact, you know, actual news. Again, I was like 7 or 8. So I couldn't really understand why everyone was so upset because, you know, news media always lied to us about who Clark Kent was. I was a weird child. But I do think that I made a point. In sad news, a real estate agent, you know, just when we thought we were done with hit and run cases, a new one crops up. A real estate agent who appeared on Netflix's $1 Million Beach House was killed in a Hamptons hit and run. Now, this case, it did show up last week, but they really didn't have a whole lot of information. So I wanted to have a little bit more before I brought it to you. A prominent real estate agent who specialized in high-end properties and was featured on the popular Netflix show $1 Million Beach House was killed by a hit-and-run driver in the Hamptons Thursday afternoon. Sarah Burrell, 40, was found unconscious by the police on Montauk Highway near Villa Paul Restaurant in Hamptons Bay shortly before 3 p.m., and the motorist who struck and killed her remains at large. Now, I do believe they have caught the person who ran into her, but it might have been another case, so I want to make sure. Now, Hamptonton Town Police detectives and New York State Police accident reconstruction units were on the scene. Police have not spoken to any witnesses, nor do they have information detailing what type of vehicle might have struck her and left her to die. She did appear on, you know, $1 Million Beach House in 2022 and has been a fairly big real estate agent in those more Tony places of the Hamptons. So this will probably be a case that we are going to be seeing more of. I'm hoping that no one named McAlbert or, you know, anyone with Canton ties is linked back to this because I cannot deal with this. But this is probably going to be one that's going to be coming up and does involve a lot of the things that made Karen Reed's case fairly compelling. So I do think that this might be another case that is going to be fairly big, especially with the celebrity of the person who passed. Unfortunately, that shouldn't be a factor, but it might be. Now, if you have a date for tonight, here are 4 foods that experts say will, you know, jumpstart your smexiness and a few that will kill. And I can already tell you, Taco Bell, garlic, and anything from White Castle will probably kill your libido. I mean, you're welcome. Before you turn up the heat in the bedroom, you might want to turn up the heat on your oven. Well, I always say a meatloaf is a good way to any man's heart, but call me crazy. Aphrodisiacs are foods, herbs, and spices that are believed to naturally, you know, get you in the mood and enhance performance. Dark chocolate and strawberries may be the first ones that come to mind, but there are heartier combinations. According to Long Island registered dietitian, chef, and nutritionist Nicolette Pace, she has 4 recipes for better Smex life that will make you feel, you know, they'll feed your desire. Well, okay, I'm willing to listen, but do I have to cook them? The fare should be consumed about an hour before the night gets spicy, or 2 if it's going to get raucous. I guess they were right about, you know, not eating before you swim. Who knew? You don't want cramping or embarrassing GI issues to ruin big moments, so keep meals light. Now, oysters have a good reputation as an aphrodisiac. Again, why? Why? It is snot from the sea. It is basically Poseidon's boogers. Changed my mind. I mean, look, I know some people really like it, but I tried it once, and all I thought was, rich people pay a lot for this, don't they? Weird. That being said, who knows? Now, in reality, Pace said that Oysters are a supply of lean protein and minerals like zinc. Now, zinc is supposed to balance testosterone and dopamine for an enhanced libido and could help blood flow and physical enhancement. I still say it is boogers of the sea, and if you like them, more for you, I guess. Now, she recommends making an oyster gratin by topping fresh or frozen oysters with butter, sautéed shallots, sherry, and parsley, then sprinkling panko bread mixed or breadcrumbs with Parmesan cheese. I mean, ew, just no. No. Ribs, hells yes, although there is no way to look sexy when one is eating a rib. That being said, I love me some ribs, so yes, they would be a sexy food for me. More bone, more moan. Apparently, bone-in pork chops are unbeatable as, a sexy meat to sink your teeth into. Ribs are lean cuts rich in protein and B vitamins. And, they have zinc, selenium, iron, and, all sorts of good stuff. So there you go. I mean, potatoes. Oh my God, she's speaking my love language. Potatoes. Yes, as Sam from the Lord of the Rings hiking movies that Baker loves, it's potato. Potato. And yes, they are good. So instead of sleepy time starches, take advantage of the extra energy benefits potatoes offer. With B vitamins and slow-burning complex carbs, they're great addition for frolic night. Again, mashed potatoes and meatloaf. Duh, I already have the recipe. I have 6 children. I should know the recipe by now. Now, that being said, watermelon is never my friend. I like watermelon candy. Watermelon, the fruit, I never got it. But it is called nature's Viagra. It contains citrulline, an amino acid that plays a key role in the production of nitrous oxide, or nitric oxide, not nitrous, which I think is what you put in cars to make them go faster. But nitric oxide relaxes blood vessels. So it's a vasodilator, meaning more blood flow. Blood flow equals helpingness. So there you go. Now you can brush a mixture of honey or coconut sugar, lime, and seasoned cilantro onto fresh sliced watermelon and, grill or brulee away. I mean, there you go. Now, foods to avoid before this. Low in carbohydrates, high in fat, or heavily processed. You know what? If Mr. Mo and me get to eat a little Debbie alone, I want no judgment, so shut the hell up, ma'am. Small amounts of alcohol can temporarily boost your confidence, so 5 more probably won't help and will make you sleepy. There's nothing good about falling asleep halfway through. Also, excessive caffeine can increase stress hormones, so hydrate instead of, having a Monster Energy drink. But there you go. I'm going to add garlic into that and anything that gives you the toots. But as I have told my teenage girl children to the point that it makes them slightly gag, if you're not ready or comfortable to toot around a person, you are not ready to do the horizontal tango with them. Now, that being said, apparently there comes a point in marriage where your husband will want to regale you with, the fact that he peeled off the paint in the restroom. He's very proud of his stink. So I got nothing for that. I got nothing for that. But apparently the greatest show of love a husband can have for a wife is when he doesn't tell her about a silent and deadly, lets her walk in, and then she loses the ability to see for 30 minutes. Apparently that is Mr. Mo's love language. I don't know how smexy that makes one feel, but he is very proud of himself. So who knows what to do about that one? I don't know. I don't think they've made a Febreze that will work like that. And in more rich people acting, redonkulous, Disgraced Saints heiress is under arrest for attacking a parking lot officer. I mean, I would figure if you owned the Saints, you wouldn't be such a pill, but there you go. The 48-year-old is reportedly being charged with hindering an office or city employee, and she was released Tuesday on personal recognizance. Sergeant Chris Stinson told the outlet that LeBlanc grabbed a parking boot locking mechanism while the officer attempted to place it on a vehicle. Yeah, they get kind of pissed off when, you try to get in between, county city workers and people doing their jobs. Now, officers had reportedly been summoned to the scene due to the parking enforcement officer being shoved. Now, a court date is scheduled for July 24th per NOLA.com. Now, LeBlanc served as the Saints vice chairperson from 2014, from 2012. And she eventually became the owner of the team. Now, things took a turn when Benson fired her in December 2014, also while cutting off any future contact. Now, LeBlanc reportedly grabbed Benson's wife and current Saints owner, Gail Benson, at home during a game in December against the Falcons. Two sources told NOLA that LeBlanc had been the aggressor, and she allegedly grabbed Gail by the shoulders and shook her repeatedly in the family suite. Yeah, that's going to get you arrested. That is what we call assault. Now, since then, Tom announced in January 2015 that Gail would be the sole and only successor to the Saints. So, I mean, she really does have that dynasty look going, though. I mean, what in the 1980s Joan Crawford is this? Anyway, don't lay hands on people. Even if you're rich, you'll still get in trouble. I don't know who needs to hear that. But now, for the real, gross people, our favorite person here, because justice is a journey, and at the end, Lord Chippy awaits.
They're our skin, they steal our grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop Lord Chippy from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So raise your fists and light your flames. Chippy's coming and he don't play games.
Well, a woman who unalived 3 roommates left behind money and instructions to care for her dog before going on the run learns her fate. Well, hopefully they don't give her roommates in prison. We see she doesn't play well with others. The woman who admitted to killing her 3 roommates in Virginia before fleeing the state and leading police to New York on a 100-mile-per-hour chase before crashing her car has been ordered to spend nearly a century behind bars. I don't know, seems normal to me. As Long Crime previously reported, Alyssa Venal, 24, pled guilty in February to killing 60-year-old Gregory Scott Powell, 65-year-old Carol Ann Reese, and 77-year-old Robert John McIver in 2024. Court records show on Friday a Spotsylvania Circuit Court judge sentenced her to 99 years in state penitentiary. She also received an additional 14 years on felony gun charges. Now, the triple murder came to light on June 4th, 2024, when a roommate returned to the home they shared in Fredericksburg, a medium-sized city some 48 miles south of Washington, D.C., around 10 p.m. and called 911 upon discovering a single body. Now, deputies found the victim dead and Venable's car gone. Authorities notified the public that Venable was considered armed and dangerous. She was caught days later in her 2009 Honda Civic on I-86 in Steuben County, the west part of the Empire State. She ignored an attempted traffic stop, drove at 100 miles per hour, and ultimately crashed her car when troopers successfully took out her tires using a stop stick. Now, at the time of the slayings, Venerable's attempt to evade authorities, her grandmother told local reporters she believed her granddaughter could also be a danger to herself and was someone who was in desperate need of help. She reportedly told a friend that she had hurt people and left instructions for the care of her dog. Now, citing search warrant documents, local ABC affiliate WJLA reported that deputies received a call from someone who knew Venable, saying that she had dropped her dog off with him and was acting strange. At about the same time, a report to deputies that Venable told her she hurt people. The friend also told investigators about a note that she had left saying she was going to self-delete in California, adding that Venable had left cash and instructions on how to care for her dog, along with account passwords. Now, according to Spotsylvania General District Court records, she has a lengthy criminal history dating back to March 2019 that started with alleged shoplifting and price altering. Later that month, the original charge was amended to one count of entering property and causing damage. Then in 2021, she was charged with petty larceny, and she had also been previously charged with reckless driving and assault and battery. So, sounds like the right, she doesn't have a chance for parole. She needs to be out of the public because she cannot control herself or her actions. And I'm okay with her being behind under the jail for the rest of the time to keep us safe. And why the hell are more of these things being live streamed? I don't understand this. I don't understand both the cravenness of doing this on the live stream and also the absolute dumbassery of doing a graphic, violent crime on the internet so your defense attorney can't say, no, that's not them. It was streamed on live. A murder of a woman was captured on video and streamed on Facebook. A Wisconsin woman was, had her life taken in the street during a family dispute with her relatives, police say, and unfortunately, the entire thing was broadcast on Facebook Live. Just imagine waking up on social media and seeing your family member has been shot, said Savannah Hudson, cousin of the victim Ashley Hudson, 29, in an interview with local Fox affiliate WITI. Now, Milwaukee police tell Law and Crime that they're still investigating the Monday night shooting and have taken at least 3 suspects into custody, a 15-year-old male, a 21-year-old woman, and a 16-year-old female. The shooting was a result of a family dispute, the department says. Now, police responded to calls about the shooting around 11 p.m. on Monday around West Villette Street. Now, Hudson was shot multiple times, and unfortunately, they pronounced her at the scene. Now, members of her family, including Savannah, told WITI that the slaying was live-streamed by someone who was on a balcony nearby, and the footage then circulated on social media. It was on live, Savannah said. It's been on a lot. Now, families and friends, held a vigil for her on Monday night and spoke to local media outlets about why they felt the video was actually important. I feel like those videos are all evidence that needs to be there. Alyssa Thompson, a friend of Ashley who was staying in the Villette Street area when it was all unfolding, told NBC affiliate WTMJ. Now, it does look like this was absolutely, all of this was covered. So again, this doesn't look like it's going to be anything that these family can get out of. But the fact that to go ahead and then put that on live is just gross. That being said, we have become a nation of let's get our phones out for posterity instead of, actively trying to help or get help for people. It does look like this is going to be a bigger case with more issues and more family drama coming out. So I expect this to be a case where we're going to learn possibly, more about what the drama was and all of that. Now, because some of the people involved might be minors, there might not be a whole lot more given out about this case unless they decide to treat them as adults. So I will keep looks out for this particular case, but it might not be one that's covered or streamed because of the involvement of minors, unless they discharge them as adults. And even then, I don't know if there's still protections there. Not a lawyer. And then this absolute, just send him to Snake Island. Do not let him pass go. I mean, who the hell bothers the Amish? I mean, absolutely, what kind of demon do you have to be to attack an Amish person? He said she didn't die quickly enough. A truck driver who brutally unalived a pregnant Amish woman during a burglary, I hope, gets put under the jail. A Pennsylvania man will likely spend the next several decades behind bars for taking the life of a pregnant Amish woman in her home. Now, earlier this month, Sean Christopher Cranston, 53, was found guilty on 1 count each of criminal homicide in the first degree, criminal homicide of an unborn child in the second degree, and burglary in the first degree, along with criminal trespass in the first degree. Now, the victim, Rebecca A. Byer, 23, and her unborn child were brutally murdered during a burglary in April 2024. The expectant mother was 6 months pregnant with her third child at the time of the slaying. Now, an application for a search warrant obtained by Law and Crime paints a particularly grim picture of the house that Andy Dweiler, the deceased woman's husband, came home to on February 26, 2024. Now, her throat had been cut and she was laying back in a pool of blood in the living room of the residence, police wrote. There was also evident laceration on the front of her neck and what appeared to be a scalping type wound on her head. Jesus, Mary, and you know what? No, we're sending him into the sun. He has done nothing. We need no more people to convert oxygen into carbon dioxide for the plants. We are all full up of douche canoes. I say we send him into the center of the sun. Now, Rebecca was discovered laying on her back in the living room of the residence. Another affidavit filed with the case read, a collection of blood was around and she displayed multiple sharp force wounds to her neck. Now, the other two children, a 2-year-old girl and a 3-year-old boy, were mercifully, and thank God, they were home when their mother was taken from them, but they were left unharmed. Just absolutely gross. Now, the little boy, the 3-year-old little boy, would later tell authorities he saw a man wearing sneakers who drove a green truck enter the home and take his mother. Investigators were later able to find a footprint resembling the design on a bottom of a Nike Air Force One shoe inside Byer's house on Fish Flats Road in Sparta Township. Now, the Amish typically do not wear sneakers. Yeah, no. At a probable cause hearing last year, the grieving husband testified that his children were the ones who told them about their mother's, death when he arrived home from surveying potential roofing jobs. I didn't believe it, Andy testified. I walked in and saw her cap laying inside the door. Now, during the trial, prosecutors called on 24 witnesses. One of those witnesses was a prison inmate who testified in graphic detail about Cranston's confession regarding the burglary gone awry. Again, why are you stealing from the Amish? They don't have a sense of ownership. I mean, collectively, things are owned as a community. You can just ask and they'll give you something because it's not considered, theirs. I mean, what the hell are you going to steal from the Amish other than a bangin' buttermilk biscuit recipe, which they'll give it to you. You honestly just have to ask. Now, the woman happened to be home or to, run into him when he was in the living room and began to scream. Then Cranston allegedly attacked, or adjudicatedly attacked since he's been found guilty. So when she didn't pass out quickly enough, I'm not going to read his actual statement, but basically he said she wasn't dying quickly enough, so that's why he decided to cut her throat. Now, the defendant, a truck driver, worked for an Amish family who lived near the Byers, driving them around due to prohibitions of the Amish community against personal use of motor vehicles. So, Again, just absolutely gross-tastic. I hope he goes under the sun. Well, I do have the lack of, math skills. So I do qualify for some. Now, Cranston's defense attorney didn't call any witness. However, he did offer a closing argument focused on the lack of DNA evidence on the killer's clothing, shoe, and car, saying such, lacking evidence was a key detail, sign of his innocence. Sure, Jan, because he's, prohibited from having a wash machine. What an absolute idiot. Oh, awesome sauce. And we are all mad here. Good luck on that. I will say that they are pricey, but I've heard from people who do have to use them more, not as a prop like for myself, but from Hasidic women, but also women with medical conditions, that those are the easiest to care for. So while they're an investment, they're easy and most like to style and, and deal with it. Now, the gun used has never been recovered, but the knife might have been found. Investigators did discover a knife along a nearby county road several months after she was killed, but it did lack both fingerprints and DNA. So this is just a random, knife that was found around the area. Not so much, they know for a fact that this wasn't theirs. However, those discrepancies, the lack of DNA, were not enough for jurors to significantly question Cranston's guilt. They, in fact, took 3 hours to, charge him guilty. It's hard to fathom conducting a more heinous, brutal killing than an expectant mother and her unborn born child in her own home, Pennsylvania Attorney General Dave Sunday said in a press release. Our homes are supposed to be our safe havens. This defendant violated the sanctity of home to commit these truly evil acts. He will be sentenced July 28th. I don't know if we can, call for stoning, but I'm kind of okay with it. I mean, at this point, do we really look? I know this is, again, beyond my pay scope, and I'm just a random person who shouts at the internet, but I'm getting a little tired of having to pay, for bologna sandwiches for these a-holes for the rest of their lives. Could we again send them to Mars? Again, Elon, you decide whether they get any supplies or not. I don't care. I'm not going to be funding it. But I do think that, why let innocent animals have to, be sacrificed in testing our space ambitions? We have plenty of these dickheads. That being said, Moe's advice is not judicial and or lawful law yet until I become Empress of the Pettyverse. That being said, I'm okay with all of that. But now that we've gotten our a-holes out of the way, let's get into something a bit funnier before I send you off into the wilds of the interwebs. I feel so bad. I have no idea. I could only imagine how bad this would be. But a Chinese man with very small eyes has found trouble with his new smart car because he keeps triggering the car's asleep at the wheel warning. Now, if my car is smart enough to know when I'm tired or not to know when I'm squinting, I would be very upset. Mr. Li, a young driver from China's Zhejiang province, recently bought a luxurious Xiaomi SU7 Max. It's a beautiful electronic sedan powered by a powerful motor that's capable of taking the car from 0 to 60 in 2.78 seconds. It's one of the most coveted electric cars in the world right now, but for Lee, it has been a pain to drive. Shortly after taking his new car out for a drive, the Chinese man started hearing, "Please focus on driving," a warning kind of sound that was going off even though he was not distracted and he was, in fact, watching the road in front of him. The message, "Focus on driving, pay attention to safety," kept showing up on his car's digital display as well, as along with the little tune, And it took him a while to figure out that his eyes were actually the problem. I opened my eyes wide and then I wouldn't hear the warning sound. Mr. Lee sent in a video that has gone viral on social media. But when I would open my eyes to the normal, every day that I have them, I would hear the warning sound again. So apparently my eyes are so small that my car thinks I'm about to fall asleep. Lee complained that the car's fatigue warning was triggered about 20 times during a short drive, which he found very annoying and, ironically, distracting. Interestingly, many of the comments on his clip were from Chinese motorists who claimed to have experienced similar problems with Chinese cars from brands like Lincoln Co., DePaul, and others. So, in other words, it seems like this is actually a problem that is from companies that are based in China. So I don't even know if we could put the dreaded racism tag on it. Maybe they need to take into account, different eye shapes. I don't know. I'm not a doctorologist and I will never touch an infotainment system. Now, after Lee's video went viral, Xiaomi came out with a statement claiming that the motorists that had experienced the SU7's fatigue monitoring function, they will try to work on, being able to turn off the function of that. That being said, I kind of understand it, but I don't want my car to be smarter than me, so it does kind of feel a little weird. But it has to suck when, you're just trying to drive your car normal and your car keeps telling you, stay awake. And you're like, bitch, I am awake. I've had a Monster Energy drink and espresso. And I'm as awake as I've ever been. I would have a full-on argument with my car. That being said, I have a full-on argument with my GPS. My directionally challenged has to do this when walking around behind. Will argue with my GPS like, are you sure we're supposed to go this way? That being said, it could, be a me thing. In a story that I'm pretty sure I brought to you last week, but I'm not sure if I did. So this is either a continuation or a brand new. New York has an escaped wallaby and it continues to evade capture. I say free wallaby. I'm free Wally. Look, New York, we don't trust you with aminals anymore. The Central New York Zoo, where a wallaby escaped during the weekend, said that the marsupial has been caught on camera by thermal drone, but has managed to evade any sort of substantive capture. The wallaby named Mac escaped Sunday from the G&G Animals in Oswego, sparking days-long searches for the animal. David Odusky, owner of G&G Animals, says that a thermal drone has located Mac about a half-mile away from the zoo, but she was able to stay one hop ahead from her would-be captors. Within the 3 hours of trying to catch her, she really didn't go anywhere. She just went far enough to keep avoiding us. Now, the zoo said on social media that capture efforts have been temporarily suspended to avoid causing Mac too much distress. The current plan is not working because of the massive amount of space. In the meantime, she is very much enjoying eating the grass. A follow-up post said officials are planning to resume capture efforts, Well, maybe Mac was an Aussie name once. I don't know. They tried. It didn't do well. And I don't know if this would be A salt or B salt, but I feel like this is something Mo would do if she ever got into beekeeping. So I probably won't become a beekeeper. An angry beekeeper set bees on police during a routine traffic stop. Again, with great bees comes great responsibility. Also, would this be murder of a bunch of bees? Because when they sting you, they die. So, isn't that kind of cutting off your nose to spite your face? Because don't you have no honey if all the bees die? You win, Jeffrey Montgomery. It was a sting operation. A 70-year-old Spanish beekeeper was so upset about being stopped by traffic police that he set his bees on the officers, causing them to take shelter in a local restaurant. The unusual incident took place last Friday on the N2 road in Sevilla, a small town on the Catalonian province of Elida. Look, I know that the double L is supposed to be some other letter in Spanish or Italian. I forget, though. So it's probably not pronounced that way. Now, a local police patrol noticed that the driver of a van wasn't wearing a seatbelt and was also driving erratically, so they pulled him over. The 70-year-old man immediately set the tone of the interaction with the phrase, "I should have run you over," and things only got more heated from then. Suspecting that the man was under the influence of alcohol and not bees, they were giving him a breathalyzer test, which yielded the result of 0.38. But then they asked him to repeat the procedure to confirm the first. I knew it was double Y. There, Sevilla. See, and Baker's over here like, Mo can learn German. She'll be great. No, Mo cannot learn other languages without causing hate crimes. This is what happens. But he got really upset when they continued to try to give him a breathalyzer, so he threatened to unalive them yet again. "I really am going to unalive you," the irritated beekeeper allegedly shouted at the traffic cops, and before they could even react, he went to the back of his van and unleashed a swarm of honeybees that immediately started attacking the policemen. According to the Catalan newspaper Segre, the two police people were stung several times and had to flee the scene in order to take refuge in a nearby restaurant, while the beekeeper casually got back into his car and drove off. After calling for reinforcement, the police were able to leave the restaurant and track down the elderly beekeeper. The unnamed man was arrested but released on bail just hours after giving a statement. Meanwhile, the two police were taken to the emergency room and administered cortisol to mitigate the effect of multiple bee stings. So there you go. Now, this week, reliable sources told, the offender was judicially acquitted of the crime of assault, but the newspaper was not able to verify any of that. So there you go. I mean, I wouldn't allege to unalive police officers to claim that and then sick bees on them, but apparently he was acquitted, so if you're going to try it, do it in Spain and be 70 years old. I mean, I'm guessing that those were kind of the mitigating factors. So if you would like to be on the attack, wait till you're 70 and have bees. I don't know what kind of wisdom that is, but it is the wisdom that I can come up with. And it looks like, let me look at the poll, we are going poison ivy. We are going poison ivy so we've got 36 for cherry Coke. We've got 34, whichever one, you crazy weirdo, you have wigs. And then 29. So cherry Coke. I love that I can read. Y'all, here, I'm going to let you in on a secret because we are trying to make sure this secret, trip for my older two boys to go to Florida goes out without a hitch and they don't find out about it until tonight. So I am Twitter pated to the max because I have to go buy snacks and all these things and do my hair all without them knowing things. And I'm a little too type A to function. So trying to do all this without them seeing all my notes is going to be crazy. That's why I don't have a stream for the rest of the day. I may do a night stream tonight. We might catch up on day 3, Lori Vallow, the Charles Vallow case. But right now, I am just trying to make sure that everything goes off without a hitch. And as you have seen, today is a double Monday. So, sort of. But we're trying to make sure this happens stealthily and without a hitch. and with enough special for youngest, most feral, who is staying here with us, do some fun stuff. I've got some really fun stuff planned, but it's that balancing act of having all of that go off without a hitch. So let me see who I can send you guys to, because I know there are a bunch of cases that are still going on, even if I'm not doing a case today. So I am going to send you on over. I thought that Baker had a trial today, or does he? Ooh, it looks like Recovery Attic is having a trial, so I will send you all over there. Have a wonderful time, and as always, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire. Honestly, trademark bitch fire, because someone might have bees. Like, I didn't even know we could have assault bees out there. But now that I do, quite literally maybe have a can of Raid and a lighter so we can Buffy the Vampire our way out of this. I learned all of my tactics from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and, well, MacGyver. So there you go. But don't harm bees because they make honey and they're really sweet. But just in case, be careful.